Greetings again from the C.M. Russell Museum. Executive Director Tom Figarelle here with another installment of the 2020 Art in Action Artist Showcase. Many of you know that we're taking a different approach to our auction this year and to Art in Action, given the dynamics that we have at play and the social distancing that we're trying to maintain. So obviously the Art in Action event, which is a variation of a traditional quick draw, has to take a different form. That form means you won't see the artist doing the work in front of you, but through these showcases, we hope to still provide you an avenue to hear from the artist, to get a sense of their creative process, what they're focused on right now, and just to give a point of connection, because we know community and engagement is such an important part of our auction events and Art in Action in particular. We want to thank, as always, D.A. Davidson Companies for their support of Art in Action and their sponsorship of all of our education programming here at the C.M. Russell Museum. We're joined today by artist John Gawne. John, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome, Tom. Good to be here.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, how are you doing, John? How's things going on your end?
Doing good. You know, it's been quite an extraordinary time for everyone. You know, you just can't imagine something like this going on, but it's been good. I mean, I'm hanging in there, get extra time to really paint and build up some inventory. But,
well, good.
Yeah.
You're producing.
How about you guys doing good?
We're doing real well. You know, things are a little bit quieter at the museum. We're getting all of our galleries back open again. You know, come the middle of August, we'll be fully open. Every gallery will be wide open and people will be able to experience the museum. But we've tried to make our best out of it too. So I think we're kind of on a similar page as you, John.
Okay.
You know, John, as we've been just talking to artists, obviously with Art in Action, it's a unique event. I mean, because you're trying to do two things at once. You're trying to, you know, finish a work of art. You're also trying to have conversation with people. That seems like a daunting task to many of us. You're no stranger to those types of settings. As an artist, what draws you to a quick draw or quick finish style event that we see in Art in Action?
Well, a couple of things. You know, as an artist, it's a pretty solitary, you know, way to earn a living. You're mostly in the studio alone all the time. And it's nice to get out and meet some of the collectors. Very often you sell through galleries and shows like this and you don't get a chance to meet the collectors. So number one, I think it's fun to actually get out and meet some of the people. Even ones that aren't buying your art, it's just nice to mingle with the different folks, and at the Russell, you know, you get to meet folks from all over the country, and it's I really enjoy that. It's a little daunting for an artist, you know. You know, in the studio you get to work on something until you get it right, but at the Art in Action, you pretty much with the time constraints, you're never 100% sure how it's going to turn out. But that's part of art, is you know, you never know what you're going to get necessarily, but it's fun. I really enjoy it. I enjoy meeting with all the folks, and you know, like I say, you get a little nervous at first, but after you get over that, it's really quite an enjoyable event.
You say that the art never really tells you where it's going. I mean, you're just kind of following the process, and obviously that kind of lends a little bit of story to the whole dynamic for you as an artist and for your piece. And I know that you're working on a specific item for Art in Action this year that has a great story. Would you mind sharing that, John?
Sure. I just, you know, when I started as an artist, I was mostly a portrait painter, and then went into doing more of the figure. And then in recent years, I've done more of the figure and the landscape. I love painting horses. But I went back to doing a portrait of a gentleman here that I painted quite a few times. His name is David Bald Eagle. And he's got, you know, when you ask about what inspires you to paint something, this man has been such an inspiration to me. I met him probably about 20 years ago. And actually my wife and I have stayed at their house years ago for a photo shoot that they put on their land in South Dakota. They live on the Cheyenne River Indian Reservation. He's a Minneconjou Sioux. But his life story is absolutely extraordinary. He died a few years ago at the age of 97. But he was a World War II veteran. Well, first of all, he was raised mostly by his grandfather, who didn't even speak English. And his grandfather I can't think of the name offhand, but his grandfather was at the Battle of Little Bighorn.
Wow.
So this is who mostly raised him when he was young. And so anyway, he had joined the military just before World War II started. And then when the war, he got out just before the war started. And then when the war started, he re-upped, and he was in the 82nd Airborne. And he fought at Anzio in Italy. And then he was dropped on D-Day over Normandy. And this is where the story is really extraordinary. He was coming down, he and his group parachuting down, and they were mistakenly dropped over a town occupied by the Germans. And he was shot and wounded unconscious before he even hit the ground. And he was left for dead. And a French couple found that he was alive and nursed him until British medics got there. And fast forward, on the 45th anniversary of D-Day, when I believe it was the 45th, when Ronald Reagan spoke at the ceremonies at Normandy, David Bald Eagle attended. They asked him to say a few words, and he did. And when he was done, his old sergeant came up and said, "Come here, you need to meet some people." And they're an elderly French couple he met. They were the couple that saved him, and they never even knew if he had survived. So
unbelievable.
I get goosebumps telling
wow.
this, and
what a
they were all
story.
crying and everything. So anyways, he's an extraordinary man, and I've painted him many times over the years. He's just quite an inspiration. So, and what's amazing, so he died at 97, and in that last year of his life, he was actually the featured character in a film. At the age of 97. So, quite a story behind the man, and he's always been an inspiration to me. I painted him many times, and that's what I decided to do here for the quick finish.
Well, if there's a life that shouldn't be captured in art, I mean, there is so much spirit and layers to that story that, I mean, it is a fitting tribute to be able to lend your talent to capture his likeness and to share that with a buyer out there, somebody who is going to, collect this piece, to understand that backstory and to pay a worthwhile tribute to quite a man. That is a deep story. Thank you for sharing that, John.
You're welcome. Yeah. It was quite an honor to have known him, and that his family let me in, So it's like I said, I've painted him many times, but every couple of years or so, I have to paint him again, it seems.
Well, good for you. Yeah, I would never tire of probably telling that story by any stretch, and certainly transitioning that into your work. That makes a great opportunity for us to just appreciate your creative spirit too. And on that note, John, I mean, you've shared something that's very personal. I mean, a relationship that you've had with somebody who inspired you. Is that a consistent way that you operate your creative process, or are there other ways that you take an idea that's spawned from some source and then put that onto canvas?
Well, generally you have so much material you go through, and it seems like you kind of build up a list in your mind of subjects you want to paint, and something in, whether it's a landscape setting background or an individual that you're going to put as the subject matter in your painting, it just piques your interest, and you start composing around that idea. A portrait is pretty simple. It's primarily just the subject, and the background is secondary. But there's just something in that individual that speaks to you, and calls you to paint it, and hopefully that connects with somebody out there as a viewer or a buyer. And then, of course, as I get into the landscapes, that's a combination of some particular setting, and then the figures you're going to put in it, and that can be a very long trial by error process of combining the background with the figures you're going to use. But sometimes you can labor for a week or two putting the different components together before you finally start putting it down on canvas. And then of course you can change it sometimes once you've even started.
So that initial idea you have could be very different by the time you complete it, right? It could have been
Exactly.
evolved
Yeah.
multiple times over. Sure. No, that
Right.
makes good
Right.
sense.
And some of these ideas you literally might be carrying in your head for, anywhere from months to years,
Sure.
you know.
Well,
And
I
then
can,
you might see something, you might have anywhere from 3 to 4 to 20 different pictures, photos, reference that are going to go into that. And finally, one day, something comes along that makes that idea full and complete, that might have added something missing to it that you feel pulls it together, and then you're ready to work on that composition.
well, a follow up on that, John, then, I mean, do I hear you that you might be working on multiple pieces at one time? It's not necessarily sequential. You're not just focused on one, complete that before you begin another, right? You could have a
Absolutely.
few phases. Okay.
Right. When I first started, I'd kind of work on one from start to finish, but as years have progressed, it seems like I'll have many going at once. And I kind of got into a mode where I'll be working on something, and there might be a problem that something I'm just not happy with, and I might set it aside and jump into another. And I've had paintings in progress that might sit here for 2 or 3 years, and one day you walk by it, and all of a sudden something clicks that would solve the problem where it wasn't reading right to you.
Yeah,
But
right.
in fact, one of my kids came by once, and he was pretty young. He started counting all the unfinished paintings in the studio, and I think he was up to 40 something paintings. So like I say, you can put them aside, and then one day you glance at it and something clicks where you figure out how to complete it, what it needs, what it's missing.
Well, there's a layer of just sincerity to that too, because you're letting the piece breathe. You're letting the idea take its own form and shape. And just, it's not it's an assembly line production, right? It's
Right.
got a life of its own. So no, I think I can appreciate that. And certainly, the quality of your work and just, how long you've been, known in the Western art community, that makes great sense that you would allow a piece to kind of just speak to you as an artist.
And early on when I started painting, I took a workshop with an artist, Jim Norton, and he made an interesting observation. He said, when these pieces are done, the public looks at them and they think it was just one fluid process that created this finished painting. But there's struggles along the way. Sometimes you paint over, you scrape off. But yeah, the finished product looks like it was a fluid piece, but it could be a very up and down process till you get to that.
Yeah, and many of us don't know how the sausage is made, right? We don't have a sense of that journey that you take as an artist. So we appreciate you sharing that, John, and appreciate your participation in Art in Action and your friendship to the C.M. Russell Museum over the years.
Well, you know what? It's been a real joy for me to be involved with the museum. I've made many great relationships, and the whole Russell event is quite fun. I mean, it's one of the highlights of my year, and no matter how successful I am as an artist, just to be associated with Charlie Russell is it's really quite an honor. It really is. I mean, you look at Russell's work and what he did for Western art, putting it on the map. It's really an honor to be associated with it, and I really enjoy the whole event every year.
Well, thank you, John, and it's an honor for us to be associated with tremendous artists like you who carry that spirit of Charlie to Western art enthusiasts and collectors today. So thank you for all that you do to support vibrant Western art presence here with our museum during Art Week and throughout the country.
You bet, Tim.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us for this artist showcase. We once again thank D.A. Davidson Companies for their sponsorship of Art in Action. We also thank John Rogers, who is the sponsor for John Gawne. We have sponsors for each artist, and those sponsors in turn support the C.M. Russell Museum. And John's a good friend of the C.M. Russell Museum as well. So thank you, John Rogers. And once again,
you, John Rogers. Appreciate it.
Once again, thank you all for joining us. We're out here. Take care.
Right. Take care, Tom.
You too, John.